2 of differentiation of trig functions. We are continuing with our examples using all the previous rules and these rules for trig functions to find the derivative. All right, so what do we have here in example 13? We have x times cosine x. So this is going to be a product rule. And we're also going to be taking the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine. So derivative of the first times the second plus the first times the derivative of the second. That's how I read it. So derivative of the first of x is just 1 cosine x plus the first times the derivative of the second is negative sine x, which will give us cosine x minus x times sine x. 14, pretty straightforward here. You are just taking the derivative of each function, which will be the derivative of sine is cosine, and the derivative of cosine is negative sine. So it'll actually be not addition between them, but now subtraction. Example 15, it's kind of a mashup of some of the previous examples that we've gone through. It would be 4, because you just multiply 4 times the function times the derivative of that function. And the derivative of that function would be, you would be taking, you're really looking at the outside function, which is cosine, and that is going to be, you're going to take the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine, and keep that inside function the same, x squared. And then the inside function, go ahead and take the derivative of that, and that will be 2x, which means you can simplify this, and it would be negative 8 times x times sine squared. All right, here, kind of the same idea, except now it is the whole cosine function that is being squared. So it's 4 times cosine x squared. So that would be 4 times the derivative of the outside, which is 2, and then the inside, which is cosine x. Now take the derivative of that inside function, and it'll be negative sine x. Simplifying, you'll have negative, you'll have 8, and you'll have cosine x and sine x multiplied. All right, 4 more here for you. All right, so for example 17, we can rewrite it, and you'll see that the outside function is cosine of 2x to the 1/2 power, which means we're going to use the chain rule here. It would be 1/2 of that inside function, which is cosine 2x, to the negative half power. Now, looking inside that inside function, cosine 2x, we can take the derivative of that. It would be negative sine of 2x, and the 2x is actually a function inside of that. So you would take the derivative of 2x, and it would be 2. Now we have quite a bit to simplify here. In the numerator, you'll have negative sine 2x, and the 1/2 and that 2 at the very end, they cancel each other out. And the cosine of 2x, the negative half power, can be written as a root in the denominator. All right, so now, problem 18, we are transitioning into our other trig functions. Tangent is that one. This would be written as tangent of x to the 1/2 power. So your outside function is the tangent function, which is secant squared. And that inside function is the square root of x. And you take the derivative of that inside function, which would be 1/2 x to the negative half power. This can be written as secant squared times the square root of x, secant squared square root of x over 2, and that negative exponent, we can write it as a root in the denominator. All right, now number 19, it would be rewritten as tangent x squared. So the outside function is now that squaring. So the derivative would be 2 times the inside function, and the derivative of the inside function, which is secant x squared. That can be written in a little bit simpler fashion: 2 secant x squared tangent x. And 20 is the last one I'm going to do with you all, and I want you to try the remaining few together. I mean individually. Okay, so here we go. This can be rewritten as secant x minus 1 squared, which means you're going to take 2 times the inside function, which would be secant times x minus 1. And it would have an exponent of 1 if you decreased it from 2. Now, you have to take the derivative of that inside of secant x minus 1. Well, the derivative of that would be secant times tangent. All right, and both of those would have an input of x minus 1, and the derivative of that input is just 1. So this is many applications of the chain rule, 3 actually in total. And to simplify, you have 2 of those secant x minus 1s, so that would be secant x minus 1 squared, tangent x minus 1, and that is all multiplied by 2. All right, so I know that this is quite a bit, but the more that we practice it, the more the chain rule will come very easily to you. So just hang in there, keep practicing, and you will see improvement. That's all. If you had questions, write them down, and I'll be glad to answer them. Thanks.